Sixers sickos. Still tuning in to listen to us talk about this team. That indeed makes you all sickos, man, because most people on the planet, 99.9%, are not watching, are not talking about it, they've Eagles the hardcore Eagles fans. I'm a big Eagles fan, but Eagles fans, Phillies fans, Flyers fans, they're not watching this. They're not paying attention to it. They're not listening to me talk about it. So shout out to 95 people in here. Hit the like button for the fact that we're still here on a Sunday morning. Our boy Tone couldn't join us, but myself and Mike Sports Vibes Ballin' is in the house. What's going on, Mike?
This team, I have a love-hate relationship with this team. I love this team, but I hate this team at the same time. And we got a lot to talk about, man. And what's going on with Joel Embiid? Is it time to just say that his career could possibly be over after the news has just come out, what was it, yesterday, about the swelling in his left knee, the same knee he got the meniscus surgery. And yeah, we're in a situation where we need new beginnings. We need a new, fresh start for the Sixers organization as a whole. I'm talking about the ownership. We need new owners. We need a new coach. We need new players. When it comes to like Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey, we cool with them.
Yeah.
But everybody else can skedaddle, hasta luego, adios amigo.
Well, Mike, and I need $1 million. You know what I'm saying? And there's just things that they just don't seem possible at this current time. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Hey, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about the Joel Embiid news and what we think about Joel Embiid. We're gonna talk about Paul George. We're gonna get Mike's opinion on Paul George overall so far this season, and myself maybe a little bit. I've already ranted about Paul George basically every day since we signed him. We're going to talk about some surprises like Justin Edwards and some others moving forward. Maybe it's time to tank. Maybe it's time to look at players in the draft. Maybe it's time to just look at next season. And then I think the second half of the show we'll do a little members-only Q&A where you guys just throw questions and we'll just chop it up and talk about it. So shout out to the members in the channel also. Mike, I want to ask you straight up because I feel like, the beginning when we started doing these shows a couple weeks ago, I feel like you were the positive one, I feel like you had hope. And even I feel like just like 2 weeks ago when I had lost all hope, I feel like you still had some hope. Are you completely there's no hope for this season at all anymore?
Oh, man.
Or because somebody just replied to me on Instagram again and said, bro, Embiid's not hurt. Y'all don't get it. They're sitting him until the playoffs, and they're going to get it. And I'm like, people are still...
still being optimistic. They're delusional like me. I'm a delusional Sixer fan, and I understand. But at the same time, we got to keep it real. Do I believe in anything that Sixers... Like, we're not contenders. We're not even close to contenders. And if we somehow got on a winning streak and somehow got in the play-in, do you realistically think we're going to do anything? No. So I just feel like we're done because now we just got the news about Joel Embiid. And look, I just want to say this to all the Sixer fans. When it comes to Joel Embiid, I just feel like it's just a total failed process. And 2014 was when we drafted him, right?
Yeah.
2014, we drafted him hurt. He didn't play his first game for the Sixers until 2016. I think I got the date right on this paper.
Yep.
2016, October 26th against the Thunder.
Yep.
So we waited 2 years for this man to play. And the reason why he dropped in the 2014 draft was because he was hurt.
Yep.
Right?
And he would have been number one by a landslide. I mean, there was tank for Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was insanely overrated at the time. Everybody thought he was the next, something. So maybe he still would have went one, but yeah, the only reason he fell to 3 is because he was injured. He was
injured, and he scored 20 points and 7 rebounds against the Thunder, and we said, "Dang, this is the best player that we had since the great AI, the great Answer, the great Allen Iverson, easy hands down." And it's almost like Dang, I almost wish that it was the other way around in the draft. I wish, almost kind of wish, hear me out, y'all, because I know y'all going to probably come at me in the comments. Hear me out. I almost wish that we drafted Andrew Wiggins instead of Joel Embiid, and this is my point, because Andrew Wiggins, we would have found out that he wasn't the guy, and we would have probably moved on and started the process over and started getting other players. With Joel Embiid, we drafted him third overall, and just the potential that he had when he was on the court was greatness if he would have stayed healthy. One of the most skilled big men in NBA history that just can't stay on the dang on basketball court, and it's unfortunate. But that's the thing. It's still the same thing from 2014, and we're in 2025, and we're still talking about the same bull crap right now. So it's to the point where at least, you know what I mean, other teams got rid of, who did he get drafted by? Andrew Wiggins. They got rid of him.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. They got rid of him. And then, look, we still got Joel Embiid. And, look, I love Joel. But we would have moved on. And we will be, there could be possibly light at the, end of the tunnel.
That's a good take, man. That's a good take. Hindsight's always 20/20, but that is a good take because, you know, Joel Embiid's skill level is so high and was so high. And the potential, I mean, he's, you know, if he never gets back healthy and he never did it in the playoffs, that'll be a stain on his career. But anybody that watched his whole career could never say that he wasn't one of the greatest basketball players you ever watched when healthy. There will always be that when healthy. But yeah, the pure dominance of him. He has the highest point per minute in NBA history. The highest point per minute in NBA history. Like statistically, regular season when healthy, the most unstoppable player that's ever existed. That's not, you know, that's not, I don't think that's an exaggeration. And this, speaking of Joel Embiid's rookie year, I remember Ben Simmons was supposed to play that year. This year we drafted Ben. He broke his foot in training camp, right? They ruled him out for they ruled him out. They didn't rule him out for the season right away. We thought Ben Simmons was going to make his debut in January. I remember January came around. The 76ers, that team with, TJ McConnell, Dario Saric, like the process guys were still there. Luke Ba, Mute, they were 12-5 in January with Joel Embiid, his rookie season. His rookie season with a bunch of G Leaguers on the floor. They were 12-5 in January. Right now,
that's crazy.
8 years later, with all of the time to build a team around him, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 2-7 in January. They were 12-5 with Joel Embiid and TJ McConnell, and they're 2-7 with Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. I'm just saying that's how good he was right off the rip.
And look, this is how I think. Yes, I think he really was injured a lot of times when he was out, but I think he rushed back. I feel like he got the pressure from social media, including myself, like, why is this guy always hurt? Why doesn't he play? But I think that he rushed back and it hurt him in the long run. When he teared his meniscus last season, I think he should have got the surgery that Jared McCain got instead of getting the quick little scope. You cut the cartilage out, because I had a meniscus tear before. He should have been out for the season. He shouldn't have played against the New York Knicks, even though he put up 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. He was dominant, but he just rushed back, and it's hurting him, and it's hurting he's hurting the Sixers in general. But my whole thing is, like, he shouldn't have been selfish, though. He was selfish at the same time, because why did you play in the Olympics? Yeah. Why did you play in the Olympics? And look, but
it's not like he got hurt in the Olympics. I don't think he was healthy in the Olympics. I think he wasn't. It was his call. I think he was just playing through it to try to win a gold medal. And I don't think
resume.
Yeah, I don't know if playing in the Olympics really had a negative impact. You know, it's not like he's injured now because he played in the Olympics, but it is pretty wild to play in the Olympics and then miss the entire regular season.
He didn't even start the season. So that's why I'm just like, could it be something that he just irritated a little bit more and we're just not getting any information from the Sixers medical staff? And then I'm hearing a lot of Sixers fans, and I agree with them too. It's like the gold medal is pretty much his championship at this point, because the goal to be an all-time great, because I know he wants to be one of the all-time greats. The goal is to get a championship. You know what I mean? A championship, in my opinion, I know you want to do it for the United States of America, get the gold, but in my opinion, a championship holds more value than a gold medal, but I just feel like he just wanted something
Yeah.
that he can obtain. But it's like, dog, like, dude, like, they didn't even play him in some of the games. When he did play, he struggled some of the games. Some of the games he was a big part of them winning games.
Hey, his battle against Jokic in Serbia, that was a lot of fun, dude. You know,
right.
It is, but you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
So I don't understand. Like, it's just like he just rushed back from all his injuries, and I understand why, but at the same time, it's just like, but now I understand because you missed the first 2 years, so it's just like, it's just bad luck, man.
When
At
he
the end of
got
the day, it's just bad luck.
when he had the surgery and rushed back to come back to play in the playoffs, I feel like they felt like they had a shot, you know, to do something in the playoffs. I feel like he felt like they had a shot to do something in the playoffs. And he had just turned 30 years old, I'm pretty sure, and he's had, you know, multiple injuries. And Joel Embiid's a smart guy. He knows he's not playing when he's 40. You know, he knows he's probably not playing past 35, dude. He knows that. You know what I mean? So he looked at it like, we got a shot here. I'm probably not going to play past 35 anyway. The doctors are telling me if I get this surgery to remove the part of the damaged meniscus, over time it won't get better. You know what I'm saying? And by the time I'm 40. I won't be playing in the NBA and might need a whole knee replacement or something. You know what I mean? But he chose that because I think he knew this is a shot right here, or he felt like this is a shot right here to win it. And I'm towards the end of my career. You know what I mean? And I think that you know, if they would have said, hey, he got it repaired again, he's going to be out again for 12 months. It was his choice, though. It wasn't the Sixers' choice. It was his choice. He wanted to come back, and he came back. But the bigger issue was knowing that it's not going to get better and signing him to a 3-year extension with a plan to, like, and they admitted it. They literally, like, there's reports that they basically said, we knew the knee wasn't going to get better, but we felt like if we could manage it properly, this was a good extension. What kind of decision is that, bro? You can't just give a guy another $300 million and pray to the basketball gods that he's like that. I think that's the crazier part. But, you know,
it is like, yo, and earlier in the season when the news came out, I don't know who put it out there. Somebody put it out there, though, that Joel Embiid was never, ever going to play back-to-back games. So you're paying a player this month, you sign him to an extension, and the guy can't even play back-to-backs. So what sense does that make? And then it's just like the Sixers even just fire the medical staff too. You know what I mean? Because when it comes to knees and injuries, I feel like they're the most I don't know. I want to say the most selfish organization when it comes to being real with the fan base. Even though I know it's money, but at the same time, it's like you gotta kind of be real somewhat. I mean, damn, it's like what you was talking about the Ben Simmons. He broke his foot. And they didn't say nothing until later.
Shit. Nope, they don't tell us shit. Bro, last year, Karl Anthony Towns tore his meniscus, and the Minnesota Timberwolves right away said he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, and right away they knew because they took an MRI. They said this is what it is. The Sixers will just leave us in the dark for months, dude. They'll be like, "Oh, he's ramping up." Oh, we don't really know actually, but they knew.
And then it's like, even when it comes to, like, you should have definitely, like, looked at his knee before you gave him the contract. But it's all about the money, y'all. That's why we got to stop going to the games, and maybe they'll stop doing stupid shit. But my whole thing is about the Paul George situation. It's like, the man, like, I don't know. See, I didn't really watch the Clippers like that. But at the same time, it's like, dude, did y'all not see that the guy definitely is missing a step? He's not the same. Only thing he does is shoot jump shots. And it's rare when you see him cross somebody up off the dribble, go between his legs, behind his back, drive to the lane, dunk on somebody. He don't do that. You know what I mean? He don't do that no more. And it's just like, y'all gave him this contract, and the guy, he's not even healthy. He in preseason, what did he do?
He hyperextended his knee. Yeah. And then he did it the second game of the season. Yeah.
It's like, my gosh, like.
But go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro.
I want to ask you, because we're going to rant about Paul George a little bit too, I want to be fair to Paul George and the Sixers too, because the whole thing was, you know, they did it expecting Joel Embiid to be healthy or hoping that he could be healthy and having Paul George just be that third option, but it's still a crazy contract for a third option. But I do want to, you know, They said Joel Embiid is going to be out. Does anybody believe? Here's what I want to say. I think. Does anybody believe? Because here's the thing: leaving the fans in the dark and all this stuff. They say, hey, he's going to be out 7 to 10 days. He's going to be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. I have trauma from the Markelle Fultz years, from all of this, where they'd be like, hey, he's seeing a shoulder specialist in fucking like Japan or something, and he'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. 3 weeks would come around and they wouldn't say a damn thing, and then they'd be like, hey, he's seeing another specialist over here. He'll be. They just kept it going, and then they did like Drew Hanlon fixed his shot, and then they gave us hope. They sold us hope like 10 different times on the Markelle Fultz thing. And so, does anybody believe that Joel Embiid is going to be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days, and the Sixers are going to give us an actual update at that time?
I don't think anybody believes, but they should have said, instead of 7 to 10 days, they should have said 7 to 10 games. That should have been more. That should have been, because it gives them more time. But they're just not being real. They're still trying to give us this false hope about the Sixers getting their MVP back, which is not going to happen. And now it's to the point, like, including myself, it's just like, we got to start thinking about possibly trading a Yabusele to get something back, because we're not going to re-sign him. We don't got no money. We got to start talking about trading Kelly Oubre Jr., and the list goes on, especially getting rid of Kyle Lowry. We can get anything back for him. I mean, second round pick, anything. You know what I mean? He got the court.
He got released. He got released by the Miami Heat. There's no value there. Reggie Jackson got released too. Those are buyouts. There's no value at all.
Yeah, they're not getting nothing from them. But at least with Yabusele, you can maybe get something for him, or Kelly Oubre, or Caleb Martin, or KJ Martin. Like, maybe you can get something, because I just feel like this season, like Sixer fans, we just got to come to reality that the season is over. And look, and this is coming from the most delusional, positive, optimistic Sixer fan in probably Sixer history. I'm delusional. I'm not gonna lie. But now I woke up. You know what I mean? And the team and all the fans, y'all have to wake up. This season is a dud. This season is over, and we got to see what we can get out of it at this point. And maybe, like, what is the deal when it comes to the pick? So if we get the fourth, between the first and fourth, we get our first round pick, or is it
6.
1 to 6?
6. Yeah, it's top 6 protected. Yep. So
we got to start doing it.
Yeah, but here's the problem: this structure of management and everybody is not built for a tank. You know, Daryl Morey has never tanked in his career. Daryl Morey flips assets, which it makes me even more like confused that he signed Embiid to an extension, because this is a guy that Yao Ming was at the end of, had all the foot injuries. And I think he retired. He had a medical retirement, but he traded Tracy McGrady, and he went and got James Harden off the bench of OKC. He flipped it right at the right time in Houston.
Right.
So I was honestly thinking he was going to go trade Joel Embiid last season. I thought, Daryl Morey makes moves, and when a player starts looking like they're declining, he's on top of it. And they went and signed him to an extension, which kind of makes me feel like it was more ownership than Daryl Morey, because it's just not typically what he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Ownership.
But this whole thing, Daryl Morey. Nick Nurse is not a coach that he's a championship winning. It's their win now mode, even as far as the front office goes. They're not built to tank, So for them to sit back and say this season's over, let's trade guys and get assets, let's do that. You would need to clean house. You would need to let go of the GM, the coach, and everybody, and start over. And
that's a good point.
I think they're on the verge of it, because I think the Sixers' agreement with Comcast to go halves on an arena versus building their own arena in Center City was a decision, because I think Josh Harris is on his way to selling the team. You know what I mean? And Comcast, with that agreement too, Comcast. So that is selling a part of it already. And he owns the Commanders. They're all celebrating the Commanders winning a playoff game. He's happy to be part of the NFL. Just sell the damn Sixers, man. Let us out of this cage you put us in, Let us get a fresh start. That's what they need. I agree with that. And so I agree, here's what I would do, straight up. I would, if there was an owner above the owner, right? If I could fire the owner, right? I would sell the team. I would fire the GM, or tell him, listen, man, we're going in a direction. You're a guy that looks to be a winning GM. We're not going to win for a couple of years. You're out of here. Nick Nurse, hey, man, if you can go get hired by another team that's in win now mode, go ahead. We're going to go get a coach, and we're not going to win for a couple of years. and I would trade the picks that they have for a young player that fits like Maxey and McCain's timeline, like like the 3-and-D kid over in New Orleans. I always forget his name. Herb Jones. You know what I mean?
Okay.
6'8", 7-foot wingspan, first team all defense last year. A 3-and-D, 23-year-old 3-and-D. Just I would give here's all the picks. Here's all the picks. So I could put him next to Maxey and McCain, right? And then I would try to get to the top of this draft also. Because if you give me Herb Jones and a top 5 pick this year, then I can move forward. And as a business, here we go. We're selling the fans hope again. You know what I mean? Because the fans are tired of watching this. The fans are tired of believing in Joel Embiid is going to be healthy.
That's the problem.
The fans are tired of believing this stuff. You need a new product to sell. That's how you sell a new product. There's no way they're not in meetings talking about this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I that's what I would do. It's just it's kind of fascinating to think about, like, what are they gonna do? And that's the thing with the NBA. You know, people are like, why are you still talking about this team or whatever? People are still listening because there's always a storyline and there's always anticipation for something. The trade deadline's coming up and there's anticipation because it's like, yeah, they suck, but what are they gonna do with the trade deadline? Right. So there's still that interest in something's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Right. And like you said, it starts with the owner. If there was a way we can have a new ownership, then that would bring new culture into the building. And it starts there, honestly. And then, like you said, GM has to go. But like the unfortunate truth is he's going to try to get as much money as he possibly can before he sells the team.
Yeah.
So in order to get the team to like be worth like the money he's going to sell it for, he has to try to keep selling tickets and keep the fan base like, oh, we still got a chance. So Paul George and Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, you know what I mean, they're the ones that's going to sell the tickets. So the unfortunate truth
they're not selling them right now.
They're not. You can't. Right.
The Wizards game you could get in the building for $1, bro. I'm not kidding at all. $1, and it was still kind of empty. Which means people were like, even for $1, I'm not coming to that shit.
and you know what? For me personally, like watching the Thunder game with Edwards and Dalton Jr., that was one of the most funnest games to watch, including the game against the Knicks. Was one of the funnest games I watched. Besides the Christmas game against the Boston Celtics, that was fun to watch. But it's just fool's gold because Joel Embiid's hurt again. So, but the Thunder and the Knicks game for me was one of the best games to watch because it's just like for the Thunder, you're getting to see all these young talented players ball out, regardless of Tyrese Maxey, PG, and Joel Embiid not playing. And you got to see the potential of Edwards. You got to see Dalton. You got to see. I mean, then Bona be up and down. Sometimes he'd be looking kind of crazy, but still, you get to see this team with, even though they wasn't the most talented compared to the Thunder, they showed heart, they showed fire, and they tried.
Yeah.
This team with, you know what I mean, when they have Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, that effort isn't completely there. Besides in this Knicks game, this last game, they showed effort, but like lately, the watching the Sixers hasn't been fun. For me personally, I don't want to talk for everybody, but it hasn't been fun to watch the Sixers because it's the same old story.
Yeah, why would we expect something different? Yeah. Right. Yeah, it hasn't been. Shout out to Kenny Smith for a super chat. I'm begging Embiid to retire. What do you think? I mean, I said, like, people are like, no, he's owed, dude. They owe him $69 million in 2029. You know what I mean? They owe him the rest of this contract, and then they owe him another $200 million after this contract for 3 more years. So he's owed a lot of money. Players retire early if they can't play anymore, and they usually like work out something with the team, and most of their contract is voided. You know what I mean? But people are saying, no, he's gonna limp around and get the rest of that money.
I can see that,
but I honestly don't think so because he said before that he doesn't even have a driver's license. He doesn't buy cars. I don't think he's like a money lifestyle. Like he's from a country.
He's not Hollywood. He's not
Ben Hollywood, Simmons. Man. Yeah, he's not Ben Simmons. He doesn't. I don't think he cares that much. He's already made so much money. He's already made more money than you can imagine. And if part of his if he is, has some plans to like help his home country and things like that, then I could see him trying to get as much money as he can to try to, do stuff like that. But I don't think he's this kind of guy that's like, I made $200 million. If I keep playing hurt for 4 more years, I can make 200 more. Like, that just sounds crazy to me at that point, because he's putting himself through hell every time. You know what I mean? People act like this is easy for a guy like that to do this knee pain every day and surgery and rehab and knee pain and surgery and rehab. This is why players retire early, because you just don't want to do that anymore. You know, when you've had that much struggle. So I could see him retiring before that contract is up. People acting like it's easy. He's going to limp around and get the rest of the money. That's not. It's a big struggle on your entire well-being when you're just constantly going through this. Remember Andrew Luck retired at what, 30 years old from the Colts?
Turned down. Yeah.
Because he said it. He said, I go to rehab, I go to practice, I play a game, I go to rehab, I'm out again, I get surgery, I go to rehab. He felt like he was stuck in this, and he chose freedom over the rest of the money. I think eventually Joel Embiid does that.
And I think that's why he kind of, I forgot how it went, but I don't know who he was talking to. But when he was pretty much saying, I did so much for this city, I think that's because, not really winning, I think it's because of the injuries he came back from earlier than expected. So he's like, how do y'all not appreciate me?
Yeah.
I get hurt and I come back. And that's what I commend him for. But the problem is, bro, we trying to win a dang on championship. But I don't know, man. That's a lot of money to turn down. But there has to be something in the contract where it's like, if you don't play such and such this amount of games, I don't know how you can get this money. I don't understand how. And that's another thing we have to definitely talk about is the whole NBA. The product has definitely went down because a lot of the stars are not playing. So I think you said something, Eastwood, about like day-to-day pay them or something. You were saying they need to do something like that because the product, man, the NBA, these stars that are not, like, say you pay $300 for tickets and you want to see, let's put in a name, Leonard, one of the best players when healthy, you know what I mean? And he doesn't play. So you spend all this money and that's probably like your favorite player. Imagine that, man. So, and it's just like, what are they going to do? The NBA needs to do something. I don't know if they're going to do day to day, week to week, because this is getting out of hand. But I understand, like, I do believe Joel Embiid now. I believe he really is hurt. But the problem is the Sixer organization, the medical staff hasn't been real with us forever. They never been real with us. Then going all the way back to the Andrew Bynum shit.
Yeah.
The Andrew Bynum, when you traded for Andrew Bynum, right? Going all the way back to, 2012? Like, how did y'all not know this man was cooked? How did you not know this man was done? How did y'all...
They were selling hope. That's all they wanted to do. They were selling hope, bro. They traded for him. They put him on a billboard in the city and all the fans.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they raised the ticket prices and all the fans bought all the tickets. That's all it is. They're just selling a product. They're getting away with selling stuff like that is getting away with selling a knockoff product on Amazon, you know, and or you know, one of those ads that comes up on Twitter, right? And then Twitter has a warning at the bottom that's like, warning, you know, this is not a valid product. This is from a knockoff factory in China. Be wary of a scam. That's the Sixers. That's what they sell to the fans, bro. They don't care. It's a scam. The whole thing's a scam. Joel Embiid not playing the first 9 games of the season and them saying something about ramping up. That was a scam. It was a scam to sell season tickets. This ownership is running a scam, dude. It's what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. The only hope is that the team is trending. Their profits are trending downward now, and they're going to sell the team because it's over. You can't start over. You can't do it again. You know, you gotta get rid of it. Thank you to Chris for real for a super chat. He played in the Olympics to get some kind of championship. He doesn't think he can get one with the Sixers. Yeah, that's kind of what we said, and I think I do agree with that. I do want to say that I think Joel Embiid. I feel bad for Joel Embiid. I do want to say that. You know what I mean? He does come off as this season he comes off as frustrated, or he comes off as like, you know, the whole I've done too much for this city or whatever. But I feel bad for him because I do think he does want to win, and I do think, you know, he's come back from injuries multiple times, and nobody doesn't want to be great. You know, I just think that at 7 feet tall, 280 pounds, he's just had some injuries that He has an injury history that's just it put a damper on his career, all the way back from he broke his foot in college, and you should, like, if you looked at him with his broken foot to draft him, if you would have said he's going to play 8 years, probably that would have probably been a solid assessment. That big of a person playing the style that he plays, they probably should have just assumed that he was going to play 8 years, So, some people have the benefit of not having an injury issue. But at that size, and the average retirement age of a 7-footer in the NBA is 30 years old, and Joel Embiid's 30 years old, and so the people that think wait till he gets right and gets back to MVP form, I don't think I'm wrong for thinking that's not really possible, because it just doesn't feel really possible. You know what I'm saying?
We'll be pleasantly surprised if he came back and he was MVP form, but 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, I don't see that happening. You know what I mean? And and it just goes to show you, just like you got to go all in when you can. You know what I mean? It's so hard to win a championship in the NBA, and when we had Jimmy Butler, I'm not trying to go back. I know people are gonna be pissed going back to that year I feel like if we didn't lose to the dang on Raptors, I feel like we would have won a championship that year. I honestly do. Well, I honestly feel like we could have won that championship.
Yeah, I feel like this is the thing, kind of what I just said. The ownership and management, they assume they have all this time. If somebody would have just been in one of those meetings and been like, you guys don't have that much time, bro. There's like a 5-year window here. You have Jimmy Butler in his prime. You have Joel Embiid entering his prime. If there was somebody that had some balls in that organization besides Jimmy Butler, they would have said, if the problem is Brett Brown and Ben Simmons, get them the fuck out of here, bro. Do everything you can to build around Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid at that time, bro. And they didn't do it because ownership, they didn't like his attitude. It's just this, this soft, just egotistical billionaires, man. They're the ones that made the decision.
And I'm not sure if the rumors are true when they was going to trade Ben Simmons, when we could have got Daryl was the GM. We could have got Tyrese
Halliburton and Buddy Hield was one of the rumors. Yeah,
right. I don't know how true that is, but what a mistake that was, man. Just think about that. Like, you went for James Harden. And yeah, he was pretty good with us. I'm not going to sit here and say he was a scrub, but he wasn't. Imagine having Tyrese, you know what I mean? Just imagine. We wouldn't even be, that would be awesome. He could run point, Tyrese can play off the ball. Mm-hmm. That would have been the best case scenario but it's like, Daryl, what, you trying to get these big, like, you wanted to get a bigger name. Tyrese, no. James Harden's name is bigger. Yeah. Right? He's a superstar. You know what I mean? But when it came down to it, Tyrese was an up-and-coming all-star at the time, and you could have got him. And you just did, and you just
it's what Daryl Morey's always done, man. He loves big names, man. One time on the radio, he referenced Sixers fans. He was doing a radio interview before he traded Ben Simmons, and he said, "Yeah, Sixers fans just want me to trade him for random guys." So he was literally calling, Tyrese Halliburton and the role players or high-level role players, or an all-star point guard. Halliburton's not having a great season this year, but he's had great seasons in a young career so far. And Daryl Morey just referred to him as a random guy, because Daryl Morey only knows big names, and he wanted James Harden. And and shout out to James Harden so far this season, by the way. He finally went into an offseason, got himself in shape, and took it seriously, because he knew, this is my last shot. If I look like I looked in game 6 and 7 in Philly, I ain't getting another NBA contract. So he finally stopped going partying until 5 a.m, grew up a little bit, got his ass in shape, and now he's having a great season. So the people are like, oh, is that what you said? Where's that energy about Harden this year? I'm like, he did what I've been telling him to do for the past 3 years. He finally did what I've been telling him to do. So, but shout out to him for doing it, and he's having a great season. And I just wish he would have looked like that in Philly, but he could still, we'll see what it looks like in the playoffs. Everybody coming at me. We'll see what Harden looks like in the playoffs, by the way.
And respectfully, it's like, you can change your narrative about something when things change. Like it's like me saying that Joel Embiid's career is completely over. I could change my dang on opinion if the man somehow comes back and says and he's putting up MVP numbers and we mess around with a championship. I could change my opinion. I mean, you could change your opinion.
Nah, you got to keep that same energy, bro.
Gotta keep that same energy until you die, man.
Yeah, like, I heard somebody say. I heard somebody say. They were like, "Oh, y'all were excited. Y'all were excited for all this in the offseason. Where's that same energy now?" Yeah, it's fucking garbage. How are we supposed to be excited? It doesn't make any sense.
And then get into Paul George, right? Because I know you wanted to talk about Paul George real quick. And I see, is Paul George a loser, right? Is Paul George a loser? All right, so this is how I look at it, right? I will say when it comes to getting paper, and he's all-time great. For him to get a fully, what is it, 211.6 fully guaranteed max contract, 4 years with the Sixers.
Yep.
He ain't a loser when it comes to that. When it comes to winning a dang on championship, yes, because look at his play. The man is averaging 16 points, getting max money. The man has more time to be on a podcast and talk about what's going on about other teams instead of focusing on the team that you're on right now. And we're losing. Why are you even? Look, why are you even doing a podcast in the middle of the damn season, man? You should be focused on what's going on right in front of you. This is the reason why we need players like RIP to Kobe Bryant and players like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, because they would not tolerate this bullcrap. I know it's a different time. I know it's a different time, y'all.
Man, Michael Jordan would have walked in. Michael Jordan would have walked in the studio and slapped everybody in the room and been like, "Are we trying to win or what are we trying to do? Y'all want to be a damn YouTube star? Then go be a YouTube star, bro."
They'll be off the team. Even Magic Johnson wouldn't have played this. Like, this is why I love Jimmy Butler and his mindset, because they don't play that type of stuff. And this is where we're at. So when it comes to us, when it comes to him getting his contracts, he's all-time great. When it comes to him being a winner on the basketball court and actually showing it on the court consistently, not moments, because I know people are going to be like, what about the other game? What about the one game? About the one game he scored 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. What about consistency? What about you averaging 20 points? What about you playing good defense consistently all the time without fouling out the damn game? How about that?
I don't even understand. I don't even understand really. Okay, so like the Sixers lose a game, right? Where he doesn't, and they recorded the podcast before that. It's not like he went after a loss and went and recorded it, but just the timing doesn't look good. You go into a game against the Knicks, right? You score 20 points in the first 3 quarters or whatever. You have a 0-point fourth quarter in overtime, okay? He hit a 3 with 57 seconds left when they were down by 11 in overtime. That doesn't count. He hit a 0-point fourth quarter in overtime in a loss to the Knicks. The next day, there's a video on YouTube, Podcast P with Paul George, talking about how dominant the Oklahoma City Thunder are. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here, okay? And then I also don't understand this. Why does he want to be a YouTuber so bad? You're like, I don't understand that, bro. Is there nothing? Is it that cool? Is it that much fun? You know what I mean? There's a clip of a LeBron James dunk that says, is this LeBron James' best dunk of all time? Paul George reacts. I don't understand it. I don't understand. When did he become a reaction star, a YouTuber, right? And if it's people talking him into it, like, hey, you need to do this. This is what the next part of your career is going to be this. He doesn't have a personality. That's the thing too, bro. He doesn't have an interesting personality. I don't understand it. Because if it's Draymond Green, okay, I get it. If there's some NBA player, if it was Anthony Edwards, that would make sense. Yeah. He's funny. He has an interesting personality. Right. He's an entertaining person. Paul George is boring as hell, bro. Who is watching that? And who's telling him to make the videos? I don't understand it. There's so much delusion going on with that, bro. I don't care if I come off as a hater for that, man. Like,
you're not a hater, you're a realist. There's a difference between being a hater and a realist. No, we being real. The truth hurts sometimes for some people. And and we telling the truth. When it comes to Paul George, that man he wasn't the answer. And I still blame Joel Embiid because he gave him the side look what free agency, when Stephen A. Smith asked him, what do you need on the team to win a championship? And he gave him the side look like, and he was looking at. You remember that interview?
Yeah.
I forgot. Yep.
Hmm.
I blame him. I blame Joel. I blame Daryl. I blame the ownership. I blame him. And then talking about Ant, I just gotta say this. Ant, I'm gonna tell you right now, he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I love the way he carries himself on that basketball court. I love how he called out his whole team and said, I don't know what our offense is. What is our offense?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Is he gonna go record a podcast the next morning?
No, and you have to, and this is why I like Tyrese Maxey. I love Tyrese. I don't know if Jared McKinnon's gonna be that guy. He might grow into that guy. We need a player like an Ant-Man. We need a player like a not the off the court stuff, y'all, because I don't want y'all saying the off the court. John Morant's a dog. We need players like that that can call out the team and say, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't see that on this team. I don't see Paul George doing that. I really don't see Tyrese. Tyrese just seems too much of a nice guy. I understand he came out about Joel Embiid not coming to that dude, that alpha guy that's in the locker room like, yo, and he has to be the star of the team, though. He has to be one of the stars. He can't just be a role player. He has to be one of them guys that he can actually, because nowadays, if you're a role player and you go to one of these stars that's getting paid way more money than you, they're going to look at you like, dude, I'm the star of the team. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to you. It's not like back in the day, you know what I mean? When you might have a role player that could be the leader of the team. Now it's like you got to be probably the best player on the team, and that's how you can call out other teammates. Just like when, going back to Tim, nobody would dare say anything out of pocket on the Spurs because of Tim Duncan. You know what I mean? Nobody would dare get out of pocket because it's just like he demanded, like Tim Duncan and Pop, they demanded the respect. Nick Nurse doesn't seem like I don't know. I don't want to say he doesn't seem
we
like
got to get back to, bro, we got to get back to, Adam Silver's era of the NBA is very open-minded and progressive. And like, I remember Allen Iverson put out a rap song, right? And they put an end to that shit immediately because it was they said they didn't like that there's profanity in there. They didn't like the topics you're talking about. All that stuff as far as being an employee of the NBA, and I know the young kids aren't going to want to hear this, but we need to get back to having more standards and there's certain things you can't do. You know what I mean? How about this? If you're employed by the NBA, you can't be a podcaster, bro. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Get it out of there. What does Kelly Oubre like to do? He likes to ride BMX bikes. He's not. That's in his contract. He's
still doing that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Tell him he's not allowed to ride bikes. Tell Paul George is not allowed to podcast. Right? Tell what's his name over in Charlotte? Miles Bridges. He's not allowed to make rap songs about gang banging and drug dealing. You know what I mean? They're like, let's get back to having some standards for the players in this league, and then maybe everything will start to change around. And then let's figure something out with, hey, if you don't play, you don't get paid. And I know that sounds drastic, right? But I think there needs to be a major thing going on because this is the main problem with the NBA is players making $50 million and just choosing to sit out games. The fact that Paul George missed a game a couple days ago with no injury at all, but just because Joel and Maxey were out, that's crazy that you're getting paid that amount of money. You can just be like, hey, guys, I'm not playing either. You know what I mean?
I have a sore knee. I have a sore ankle. I can't play.
Yeah, we got to get back to, bro, the only way to fix it is to get back to, and it can't happen anytime soon, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, but if you don't play, you don't get paid. And people think that sounds crazy. Well, what if somebody has a career-ending injury, right? Then your career's over. That's what happens. And then you got to go join the world with the rest of us and get a job, bro. I'm sorry.
It's the unfortunate truth. I just feel like they took advantage of like not playing games due to like anything. And now it's to the point where it's so bad. And this is why, look, and I got to just say this. This is why I commend LeBron James for all these years playing. I don't know how many years he's been in the NBA, but the man, he really hasn't missed too many games throughout his career. Never had a serious injury, and if he was injured, he played through it. That's what the one thing about LeBron James, like, and I just don't understand what's going on with like the mindset. I think it's a mindset thing when it comes to the stars nowadays. It's just a soft mentality. And that's why when Charles Barkley and Shaq and the guys, the old school guys, be talking trash on these stars, I agree with them most of the time because it's just like the NBA isn't where it was. It's not. The product isn't good like it was back then a few years ago. Even in the Kobe Bryant days, like those days were so fun. You know what I mean? Now it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what to call what we're
There,
seeing right now.
there's just this egomaniacs, man. For somebody to be like, for him to be like, I'm Paul George, people want to hear what I have to say. And like, it just comes off as like, why do you think people want to hear your opinion on LeBron James' greatest dunk? It's just odd to me, I don't get it.
LeBron,
I
I
don't
love
get it.
LeBron. I understand. I understand. That's just stupid. It's just wrong timing, and you should be focused on the game. But I just want to talk. If we before we get off,
Who's like,
I
yo, the
just want.
Oklahoma City Thunder are dominating right now. I gotta hear what Paul George thinks about that.
I
Who?
don't understand why he would even think that would be a smart idea, knowing that your team is
Anyway,
struggling to get
yeah,
wins.
what were you about to say?
I was going to say we need to talk about the beginning of the process. In the chat below, in your opinion, when did the process start? And like in my opinion, I want to get your opinion, Eastwood. I think it started with the Andrew Bynum when it didn't work out there, and then after when Daryl Morey became the GM, I think in 2013. No, not Sam Hinkie. My bad. I said Daryl Morey. Sam Hinkie when he became the GM in 2013
Yeah.
when they traded Drew Holiday, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was 2013
Yep.
for Norland's Noel for the sixth overall pick with the
Yep.
Pelicans. I think that's when it started to ramp up then. But it
Uh-huh.
started with the Andrew Bynum. And then when you go through the list of the first round picks, and I'm gonna go through the list soon, but I wanted to get your opinion. When did the process start for you?
Yeah, Drew Holiday was an All-Star in 2011, and they traded him because
Yeah.
that's when that was the start of it. I think was trading Drew Holiday for the number 6 overall pick in that draft or
Six.
whatever, and they drafted Nerlens Noel, who looked like a defensive juggernaut, bro. He had
Solid.
games. He had games at Kentucky. I believe he played for Kentucky. He had games where he
Kentucky,
had
right?
10, 11, 12 blocks in a game, dude. He looked like somebody that could revolutionize everything from the defense, inside out. And it just didn't end up being that dominant in the NBA. He was a great shot blocker, but it didn't end up being as franchise altering as they made it sound when they were all in on Nerlens and drafted Nerlens Noel right there. And then yeah, they lost on purpose for 3 years. But that's where it started. Yeah, I think the Drew Holiday trade and the ultimate like, wow, we're tanking was Michael Carter Williams was a rookie of the year, and they traded him the next season. Because Sam Hinkie was like, we're not there yet. We don't need a guy that's gonna do this. Or he really didn't like Michael Carter Williams. Either of those two things. He was like, nah, we need to lose for a long time, and this guy's too good right now. Or he was like, I don't believe in this guy at all, and he's very hyped right now, so I'm gonna trade him. But yeah, that's when it started for me. And then they've done everything wrong ever since, man. They drafted 7 centers in a row. They drafted a center who would be great in 1979.
Don't say his name.
Jaleel
What's his name?
Okafor. Yeah, big like bro. That's
From
they.
Duke. Yeah.
Dude, and I'm sorry, people loved Sam Hinkie, he all that stuff. Like he didn't get to finish his plan or whatever. I don't think he had a plan, dude. And this is a hot take, but the people that were big Sam Hinkie supporters, looking back at it, I don't think he had a plan. I think he's just like Daryl Morey and the rest of these guys. Never played a sport in his life. He's a money numbers guy, and he thought that I can outsmart the NBA by doing it this way. And he had no idea what he was doing because the league was trending into a faster game with more 3-point shooting, and this guy drafts a 1987 back to the basket turnaround hook shot guy who can't shoot the ball outside of 7 feet.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't think Sam Hinkie had any clue what he was doing, and I don't think he had a plan. That was my take.
I got to get this off my chest real quick. The process was a total failure. It has ended. It's over with. The process is done. I don't care what nobody says. It's just my opinion. It's over with. So, because if you think about the process going back to the Andrew Bynum or 2013 to where we are right now in 2025, we're still taking L's. We still haven't got out of the second round. We still haven't got to the Eastern Conference. We still haven't won a championship. So we're still in the same situation. We're just paying these players more money. But get into the draft, right? Like some of the failures, like besides in 2009, Drew Holiday. I got his autograph on my wall. Love Drew. Shout out to Drew Holiday. You know, they should have gave him more time, in my opinion. When it comes to 2010, you know who we drafted in 2010, second overall pick? Do you remember?
Evan
Off the
Turner.
top, Evan Turner. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I was hype about getting him because he made that game-winning shot for, was it from half court or
Yeah,
something like that?
Ohio
All
State.
great. Yeah, and I was hype
Yeah.
about him. And then 2011, Nikola Vucevic. I actually like Nikola Vucevic. I like him. I think he was a solid big man, but he was a 16th overall pick. But then this is when it gets real spooky for the draft, right? 2012, Maurice Harkless.
What
I don't
overall?
even
What
remember
overall?
Maurice Harkless.
What overall pick was that?
That was 15th in 2012.
Mo Harkless. I remember that
No,
name.
not Maurice Harkless.
Yeah, they used to
Maurice
call him
Harkless.
Mo. Yeah, they used to
Mo,
call him Mo.
okay.
But I remember his name, but I don't remember ever seeing him play.
I don't remember him. That's
Yeah.
bad. And then when you go to Michael Carter Williams, you just talked about Michael Carter Williams in 2013, 11th overall pick. And then 2014, Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And then what you know what happened.
And then
we went
15
back-to-back centers.
15 was Okafor.
It was Okafor,
Yeah, it made
third
no sense.
overall pick.
It made no sense. Because if your plan is for Joel Embiid to get healthy, why the fuck are you drafting another center?
Because they didn't really know for sure that Joel Embiid will come back from his injury. What was his?
And then I remember when he came back, bro, and they still had Nerlens Noel and Okafor on the team, and they started Okafor and Embiid one night, and Nerlens Noel came off the bench, and Noel was mad, and he was like, "I'm not a bench player." How do you have 3 starting centers on your team right now?
This organization is so stupid. And then think about it. 2016, Ben Simmons. And remember when he missed the year, right? He broke his foot. And like, I remember the following year he became the rookie of the year, and he was going at it with Donovan Mitchell, and we riding with Ben Simmons. We like, Donovan Mitchell, you're not as good as Ben Simmons. You're just salty. You're not. And now look.
He looked amazing.
Now look.
Yeah.
And in 2016, we drafted
Ben Simmons looked amazing. There's no denying that. He looked amazing, bro. He put up a 35-point triple-double against LeBron James in LA. Yeah, dude, he looked amazing, bro. Yeah. He had games where he was dropping 27, 12, and 14 assists. He was literally they were talking on ESPN, is Ben Simmons the best rookie of all time? He was putting
they said he was LeBron.
Dude, he was putting up insane triple-double numbers as a rookie.
What happened to him? Like, what really happened to let me finish this. I'm going to get to that question. But in 2016, we also drafted Timothy Cabarrot. What's his name? Cabarrot or
TLC and Furkan Korkmaz, I think.
Korkmaz. I forgot Korkmaz was a first round pick.
Those were both first rounders.
They were first rounds, and we strike out on all of them. All of them.
That was the year that was the year where they had 3 first-round picks, I think.
And then guess what? It gets worse because in 2017, guess what we do? We trade up in the draft to get Markelle Fultz. And look, this is no disrespect to Markelle Fultz. We could have drafted Jason Tatum.
That was the right pick too.
The Celtics drafted Jason Tatum, and I remember them saying Jason Tatum, he's not really that athletic or something.
Nobody.
I'm like, what? And now look at him, right? So we drafted Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, but that was the right pick too, man. Markelle Fultz looked like a 6'5" Kyrie Irving in college, bro. He was averaging 31 points per game. He was shooting 42% from the 3-point line. He was shooting like 48% mid-range off a pull-up. He looked like a future absolute NBA All-Star guard on both ends. Size, athleticism, had the defense, had the facilitating. His finishing around the rim was crazy. Everybody was taking Markelle Fultz in that draft. They were. Yeah, and nobody was talking about Tatum coming out of Duke, bro. I remember leading up to that draft, I don't remember anybody talking really highly about Tatum. They knew he was a prospect, right? But he wasn't he wasn't like taking Duke somewhere. He wasn't some kind of huge name, bro. And
what did the Celtics have?
The Sixers just have shit luck, bro, because that was the right move at the time to add what Markelle Fultz looked like he was going to be to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. That was the right move at the time.
It was the right move, but it failed. And I understand it was the right move, but it didn't turn out to be the best move.
Everything fails.
Everything failed for us. And then look, y'all. This is when it gets spooky. It starts to get scary right here. It was already scary. I'm having nightmares in my sleep. We could have drafted Jalen. We could have drafted Brandon Ingram. We could have drafted what's the bull? what's the other? I can't think off the top of my head. But 2018 10th overall pick. Do y'all know who it was? We drafted him and we got rid of him.
2000.
Same night. And his mom was doing an interview.
Oh yeah, Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
So we traded him the same damn night, y'all.
Yeah.
That would have we just kept making mistakes. In that same year, we drafted Landry Shaman. And then 2019, no comments. And then this is when it starts to get good in the draft when we drafted Tyrese Maxey in 2020, 21st overall. And then we drafted Jarrett McCain in 2024.
That was Daryl Morey. That was when Daryl Morey took over.
Though.
He's been good at drafting. He also drafted Isaiah Joe. You're welcome, Oklahoma City Thunder. They talked him into releasing him because Doc Rivers hated him for some reason. Daryl Morey's been great in the draft. Right. He has. And he drafted Charles Bassey, who looked like a great backup center. They released him because of Doc Rivers. Then he went and got a Dembona in this year's draft. He's been good at drafting. He's been bad at everything else.
Agency. Yeah. Free agency is like the worst about him. But no matter what, we're still in the same position. And this is why Sixer fans are so like, they feel the way they feel and they want to start over. And I agree with them, man. I can't even hate on their opinion. You know what I mean? They right.
Yeah.
And, 2011-12 season, Doug Collins. Do you remember that team? Who was on that roster?
Dude, there was a period where I kind of stopped watching where they were there was a 10-year period where they were right after the Iverson era and Iguodala and Kyle Korver, like late 2010s or late 2000s. Okay. Like 2010 to 12, I feel like I didn't really pay much attention.
Okay, yeah, so that was the Doug Collins, and then that was when we had that the GM was Rod Thorne, and that's when we had, of course, Drew Holiday, Iggy, Lou, Thaddeus, Vucevic, and you know what I mean? I'm just reminiscing on like the things that we had, man. It's just like
let's do before we get out of here, let's do a little next 10 game prediction. All right. I remember we just did this just a couple weeks ago, and I said, this was before the New Orleans game, and I was like, they got a tough schedule ahead, but they might be able to beat New Orleans and Orlando before they play these tough teams. Well, they lost both of those. They lost to OKC, and it wasn't even close. OKC was running 50% speed the whole game. They lost to the Knicks in overtime. I feel like the Knicks loss, things looked good, and it was because Nick Nurse was forced to play youth and athleticism, Dembona and Justin Edwards, who I've been screaming about the whole season. He finally does that because Kyle Lowry, they're changing the battery in his Life Alert, and Eric Gordon and those old guys, they weren't playing. So we'll see if Lowry comes back and tanks the team again. But they looked okay against New York without Karl Anthony Towns, though. By the way, don't forget that.
Right. Right. True.
So the next 10, let's look at Indiana, Milwaukee, Denver, Cleveland, Chicago, Lakers, Kings, Denver, Boston, Dallas, Miami, Detroit, who will smack you around now. Detroit's not the Detroit that we used to know.
Tobias Harris.
Milwaukee. You don't have an easy game, and the Lakers are what they are, but it's still LeBron James and the Lakers. The Chicago Bulls are what they are, but Levine could drop 50.
Oh, man, Levine's playing too.
Toronto, they don't have a really easy one until February 11th against Toronto, and they might lose that one.
All right, so Pacers. I got us taking an L, bro. Like, I don't see us winning against the Pacers. I don't see us winning. I don't see us winning, bro. How you feel about that? Pacers. I don't see us winning that game.
No, I don't see us winning against the Pacers. I don't see us winning against the Bucks, the Nuggets, the Cavs, the Bulls, the Lakers, the Kings, the Nuggets again, the Celtics, the Mavericks, the Heat, the Pistons, the Bucks. I see the Sixers going L.
L's all day for a whole month.
Paul George is going to sit out half of them. Tyrese Maxey is going to average 30 points on 30 shots. And we are going to be on our way to the top of the draft.
I think we're going to beat Milwaukee. We're going to beat Denver. We're going to beat Cleveland. We're going to beat Chicago. We're going to beat the Lakers. We're going to beat the Kings. It's like, nah, we ain't beating none of them. We're not beating none of them. We're losing. We taking L's for like. We might be able to beat the Chicago Bulls. I could see us beating the Chicago Bulls. And since the Lakers game is at home, I just feel like they'll play. I don't know, man. I think we might have a chance of beating the Bulls and the Lakers. Everything else, I don't know. I think we're going to take L's actually for the rest of the
Um,
games.
yeah, and I forget what I was gonna say.
Like no, like I don't see us winning against Sacramento. I think the Kings are starting to win, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah,
think the Kings are
they've
starting to
been
win now.
they won 5 in a row after they fired their coach.
So they're not, you know what I mean? This is different with them. They're going to assign Fox to an extension. I don't see him going anywhere. And yeah, so the only team I think we could possibly beat would be Chicago and against the Lakers. And that's if possibly Tyrese and Paul George play because we don't know when Paul George is going to play. He might not play. So
Let's do one positive take before we get out of here. One thing positive about the 76ers or the future of the 76ers or whatever. Give us one positive thing, Mike, and then I'll give my positive thing and then we'll get out of here. What you got?
I don't know, man. When it comes to positive for the Sixers, man, gotta think hard.
Do it in the chat too. Chat, give us your positives.
Um,
You got to
the
search
pot.
long and hard for this.
Yeah, I gotta dig down. I gotta go. I think the positive thing I can say is we have a Tyrese Maxey. Even though he be bricking for chicken a lot of the times when it comes to his threes, he be like 2 of 9, 2 of 11, and all that. I love Tyrese Maxey. I love his heart. And even though he doesn't get no foul calls, the whistle be quiet because he be going crazy. He be so fast they can't. He like flash driving to the lane so they can't see when he's getting foul, hitting on his arm and all that. I love Tyrese Maxey. I always will. I think he's a star. And then when it comes to like Jared McCain, I just want him to get healthy. Don't rush. I think he's a star as well. So I think that is the positive that the Sixers have right now. And we still got draft picks. You know, we still got picks, even though we still got Joel Embiid on an extension and we have Paul George for 3 more seasons after this. I mean, we still got draft picks and we just have to make sure we pick the uh right players. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I think that's the only positive thing because after that James Harden trade with James Harden, Ben Simmons, no, after the James Harden trade in James Harden, we got picks back, right? So since we got picks back for James Harden, I think that's good, man. Daryl Morey helped us out a little bit when it comes to that, but other than that, I think everything else is bad. You know what I mean? When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the culture, when it comes to the ownership, and when it comes to
Yeah.
them being real with the fan base, it's bad. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be positive. Damn. All right, that's
No.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, my positive right now I think is watching minutes for younger guys. And you got to be a real sicko, but this is the kind of, Sixers fan that I am. I'll watch the summer league, I'll watch the damn if they showed a live stream of like practice in the I would watch that, so cuz I like to watch the young guys that have potential. So my positive is Justin Edwards getting minutes and looking like he could be a real NBA scorer, a real NBA role player. My other positive is Adem Bono being on the floor and getting time to work out the kinks and figure out the NBA and the time to make mistakes, because if you're trying to win and Nick Nurse is going to do this thing where, I can't put a guy out there who might make a mistake. That's past now. You're not winning, So maybe we're moving towards him just letting these guys figure it out and we'll get to watch these young guys have some minutes on the court. And and then you move forward with, Jared McCain's coming back next year. That's probably the biggest thing. Somebody just posted another highlight reel of him, dude, and I was like, oh my God. One of those things you don't realize how good it is until it's gone. That dude was so good at everything.
And the worst thing about like that's like Jared McCain, of course, that sucks that he got hurt. But the worst thing about it is why does it take our coaches to play young players? It takes injury to happen. And they won't play young players until they're desperate to play young players. And I don't understand like the championship coaches like Doc Rivers and Nick Nurse when it comes to that because we wouldn't have like even when it comes to Tyrese Maxey with Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers wasn't going to give Tyrese Maxey an opportunity if it wasn't for Ben Simmons just finally leaving. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have seen Tyrese Maxey where we are right now because if we still had Ben Simmons. So it just goes to show you like that's why I just like it. That's the unfortunate truth. We just need to start. Gotta be positive, man. Damn, I keep going back to that.
Well, to answer your question, why won't these coaches play young guys until someone gets injured? We keep getting these delusional just idiots who think like I'm a championship winning coach and my philosophy is the reason the Toronto Raptors won a championship, even though the reality was it was a stacked roster with Kawhi Leonard in his prime and Kyle Lowry in his prime and Pascal Siakam being a stud off the bench and Fred VanVleet off the bench and Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol.
Right?
I don't remember if OG was there.
Was he? I don't know. I'm trying to think.
But, I said it's the same thing about Doc Rivers in Boston, dude. You had 4 Hall of Famers on that team. It was a great team, dude. Bro. But then they take that philosophy and they move forward with it because they think this is what wins games and this is what wins championships. And they're delusional. And the rest of the NBA is playing 22-year-old athletes, and they're out here. I need to put Kyle Lowry on the floor because he won a championship 8 years ago. Like, get him out of here, But that's why, dude. That's exactly why. And it's funny because then he's forced to play guys like Justin Edwards and Adembona, and they actually put up a fight against the New York Knicks when in the beginning of the season he was playing the old scrubs and they lost to the Toronto Raptors, they lost to the Detroit Pistons, the Memphis Grizzlies without Ja Morant and everybody. They lost to the Phoenix Suns, they lost to the Lakers, they lost to the Orlando Magic, they lost to the everybody, man. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's why. These coaches are delusional and they're not as smart as they think they are. That's what I think.
Too smart for their own good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They think they overthink the game, and then no, they're probably way better than me than I would ever be when it comes to coaching. But
I don't think they are, dude.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand some of the stuff, man, that they do. I don't
care. I don't care if people think I'm wrong about saying stuff like that, but I don't think it's that hard of a job, dude. I think people get there by what they did and who they know and working your way up through the ranks and having winning seasons with teams at the college level, at the G League level, at the whatever. But I don't think it's that complicated of a job. It's 5-on-5, dude. You know what I mean? And everybody thinks, there's this guy's philosophy and all this. It's 5-on-5, bro. Put the 5 best players out there. Run the top 5 plays that are in basketball. Pick and roll, pick and pop, pin down screens. It's not complicated, dude.
Right. They make it overly complicated when they be trying to put in. I mean, they try to do so much when you don't have to. You know what I mean? And that's what makes the game.
I run more plays. I run more actions on offense on 2K than Nick Nurse does. I swear to God, bro. I got screens everywhere. I got guys running all over the place getting open shots. This guy's just, here's the ball, run some ISO. I don't know. I'll see you later. And then he spends the whole game yelling at the refs.
Yeah. They just, and one more thing I just want to say, like, they just rushed the process. They tanked on purpose, but then they got to the point where they started to rush the process because they wanted to get the big names, like mainly the James Harden and the PG. They rushed the process instead of taking their time and actually figuring out what they really need to have around.
Well, that was
Joel Embiid.
That was when they fired. That was when they fired Colangelo.
Right? That's right.
Brett Brown and Elton Brand were like interim GMs, or Brett Brown was interim GM, but really the owners were then making decisions. I think the owners are the ones that traded Mikal Bridges because they don't know what they're doing at all. And everybody hated Brian Colangelo, but guess what? That dude had experience building a winning NBA team, the Phoenix Suns. His dad had experience building winning NBA teams. He put a great team on the floor that one season when Joel Embiid was out the rest of the year and Ben Simmons was running point. Brian Colangelo is the only person in Ben Simmons' career that got a winning product out of him. They won like 15 games in a row at the end of that season because he said, this guy's a point forward. I need shooters. And he went and got Marco Bellinelli and Ersan Ilyasova. And that dude knew how to build an NBA team. And they fired him because he had a burner account on Twitter.
And it's just like a tease because I'm like not trying to go back, but I'm just thinking about Ben Simmons and his potential. Like the man, like you're right, he was really good. You know what I mean? If he would have worked on a midi, if he would have worked on like his free throw shooting because he was so scared to shoot a free throw, he passed up a wide open layup against the Hawks in the playoffs. If he would have just worked on some of the basic stuff, man, we would have had something great with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid,
Yeah, dude.
It's just unfortunate. 6'10" handle can guard any position.
You'll never see it again, man. To have the combination of that level of talent and size and speed and all that, and be that much of a loser, you'll never see it again, dude. You will never see it again, bro. I don't know how a person like that gets that mentality. He has the most making Ferrari commercials and showing up at red carpet events than being a dominant NBA player. He is a loser. All right, man. Yo, Mike, it was fun once again, bro. Every Saturday morning we're here. Myself, Mike Sports Vibes. Tone will be back with us next week. Sixers Saturdays. Thank you all for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Sixers play tonight, by the way. They play the Pacers tonight at 7:00. We'll see, man. All right, Mike.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all, man.